I'm just walking by the canal in Cheshire again. It's the Trent and Mersey Canal, which leads from the Trent River up to the Mersey in Liverpool. And it's quite interesting. It's this weird brown colour. It's funny, when you draw pictures of water, you always imagine the water being coloured blue, but you very rarely see blue water. And this canal is a typical example. It's this weird kind of brown colour, which I guess is the colour that's leached off the soil round about. And because it's pouring down today, the surface of the canal is spotted with these little concentric circles where the raindrops are hitting it. It's quite attractive, really, if it wasn't so wet. One of the things that's got me thinking about is how experiences which are completely routine to people like myself, you know, people like, well, humans really, any life forms that live on a planet like ours, orbiting a star like ours at this particular distance, and which are of this particular kind of size and weight, is that you know, so much of my life, and I guess everybody's life, takes things like the surface of water for granted. You know, it's a completely ubiquitous feature of every waking moment of my life, that I'm surrounded by horizontal surfaces, and I'm walking across a horizontal surface, and that other entities seem to be stuck to that surface and proceed across that surface. And the other objects, these trees and grass and man-made objects like telegraph poles and electricity pylons, all these things kind of protrude from this horizontal surface at a 90-degree angle. And this horizontal surface has all kinds of properties. You know, water can pool on it like this, and any slight disturbance in the horizontality of that surface causes liquids to move in a certain direction. Quite incredible, really. I mean, it doesn't seem incredible, it seems completely obvious. But it's always the obvious stuff that's the most interesting in a way, isn't it? Because that's the stuff that's being processed by our brains the most intensively. The obviousness of the world is a product of the intensity of the processing that our brains are doing on that world. I was watching a video about vision the other day, and that was one of the points it was making, that something like 30 or 40% of the brain's capacity is given over to processing of visual information. And you think, well, you know, first response might be, well, why is it taking so much? You know, because it's so obvious. You look out in the world and there it is. Why do you need all this processing power? But it's that very obviousness. It's the very fact that that the cognitive processes that are engaged with when we look out into the world, it's because those cognitive processes are so transparent, so invisible, that we know that it's all that processing power is being put into it. If we had to think about it, we could do it with less brain, I guess. Or if there was less brain involved, we would have to think about it more, I suppose, more accurately. And I think this horizontality that we're walking around on, the fact that we are kind of stuck to a surface, and all of our ways of moving are exploitations of what happens when you put a solid object in motion on that surface. And all of the structures that we build, literal structures like houses, but a lot of the institutional and organizational structures, I think, are built with the idea of this horizontal surface and the various properties that horizontal surfaces have. You know, when we talk about ideas, we talk about some ideas being foundational, and some other ideas being part of some kind of superstructure, and some ideas being kind of uppermost, I guess. And that's an indication of the extent to which this horizontal surface and the properties of this horizontal surface are impacting not just the fact that we can put one foot in front of another, or that we can put something down and know it'll stay there, or that drops of rain will form these concentric circles on the surface of a canal, but also that we can use those properties for metaphorical and poetic effect in all our thinking.